Should all CBDC transactions be treated the same? Right? We've talked a bit about in a few previous videos about basically access tiering, which to reiterate, what access tiering means, or I guess should refer to, is the various features that a CBDC system offers that vary based on the attributes of a given transaction, right? So we've looked at basically tiering based off a user account, off the transaction amount, or counterparty, right? And basically this definition is coming straight from the Office of Science and Technology, from my house, and a paper they published in September of 2022, right? About 60 pages or so. That paper itself will be in the description below. As always, I put sources in there, but regardless. So there is this access tiering, but what if we just treat all the transactions the same, meaning there is no access tiering, all transactions have the same requirements with whatever exactly those requirements are, right? They're not exactly hardly defined, with at least in their paper itself, right? So this really sees, as it seems with always for access tiering, the biggest part of this is with AML and CFT compliance, right? So anti-money laundering and counter-financing terrorism, which is one of the big selling points, I guess, for CBDC, is how it would help with this, right? So a lack of access tiering in general, right, by not kind of separating the transactions based off of their attributes and treating them all the same, basically means that the intermediaries themselves would have to develop their own risk management, specifically with this type of compliance, right? Which isn't all too much different from how it is now in traditional finance, right? Basically, they already have to take care of themselves. You know, the banks do it themselves, payment systems, whatever the case may be, right? And so there's that. And also, it also means these intermediaries can scale based off of the customer risk profiles themselves. So again, kind of, if they're suspicious of you in general, maybe they do more due diligence on your transactions, or they require more verification or requirements in general. Again, this would make, by having no official access tiering for a CBDC system, they're essentially putting that responsibility on the intermediaries themselves, right? However that happens to be structured. Again, none of this is really set in stone. It's just kind of looking at the different costs and benefits of possible design choices, right? And trying to kind of understand it to a deeper degree, right? One major benefit, at least benefit in terms of the system itself, something that would benefit a US CBDC system, by having no access tiering, basically you only have one transaction method that has to be developed, because you don't have to develop different methods that require different degrees of ID verification that allow certain things based off of the transactions and that sort of thing, the attributes of the transactions themselves, you know, like how much are we going to limit how much they can spend, where they can spend it, who they can spend it to, how much information do we have to pull from this transaction. Like, that doesn't change based off of the attributes of a transaction. They all get the same in that respect. So it would be easier to make functional and to develop, right? Which seems to be, I guess, the greatest benefit for a CBDC system in this respect, right? So with that being said, that's all I'm really going to say about no access tiering at all. So if you like these kind of deep dive-ish videos themselves, looking at more specific and trying to at least start the conversation about each individual design choice and trying to kind of illuminate the pros and cons of each one and trying to gain a deeper understanding of them in general, feel free to subscribe and comment and continue the discussion below. If there's something I did not say that you think is important, put that down there. If you think it's completely wrong, put that down there. It doesn't really matter, right? But I think the emphasis should be on provoking and having the discussion itself, mostly to understand them better, so that we can put ourselves in the most beneficial position given what could be in store, whatever that happens to be. So with that being said, I will put one of the access tiering cards up in the corner. Haven't really decided which one it is yet, but we'll see. Anyways, hope to see you guys there.